Hi everyone, welcome to another weekend review. Happy weekend to you all. I hope your weekend has gone well. Some of you that live on the East Coast, I hope you are safe and dry. And if you're living down south, I hope you are hydrated and sort of everything. So this is just going to be a short live. So if you miss it, you can look at it on the Instagram feed, or you can see it uploaded on the YouTube channel. So I'm just going to come with you with my regular, because we're still in the midst of COVID. We're year 5 in this. So here it is. According to the World Health Organization, which is data.who.int, there were at least 69,369 new cases of COVID-19. But overall, reported cases as of February 25th, even though there is more, there has been over 700 million. So the exact number is 774,771,942. Now on to the United States of America, because we still have the highest cases out here. Believe it or not, we do. Within the last 7 days, because my chart is loading, okay, it's not giving indication on the last 7 days, but the total is still over 100 million. Since February 2024, the number of reported cases is 103,436,829. So in terms of, the world, we're almost at 800 million confirmed cases. Here at home, we have over 100 million, and we're only account for 4% of the world's population, so that's a lot. Now, in terms of the death toll, in total, I'm going to start with home at the United States because I'm on our page. As of February 25th, 2024, 1,178,699 deaths have been reported of COVID-19. So again, 1,178,699. That's almost 1.2 million people dead here at home. Keep in mind, once again, we're only 4.2% of the world's population. So we're under 5% of the world's population, yet we got the most cases. It's a lot. Now, in terms of the world, there has been over 7 million reported deaths. So the exact number is 7,035,337. So we're not out the clear yet when it comes to COVID-19. So I don't know why people are acting like they're out of the clear, because in terms of the vaccinations, which I'm not reading it because it never changed, we're only 70% fully vaccinated. Keep in mind, the vaccine is still free. You can get it from your local pharmacy to your PCP, or walk into the hospital. There's even trucks out there to test you. Not to test you, but to give you a vaccine. I don't understand it. But this is where we are. Because people were listening to folks telling them to drink bleach, who was actually running for office again, which I found that astounding when that man is an indicted criminal, 91 indicted charges. I digress. But the fact that he weaponized and spread misinformation and led others to spread misinformation on platforms like this, I'm telling folks to honestly still get vaccinated, still wear your mask when you're in large crowds, because COVID's still going around. Yes, we're in the middle of March. It's still going around. It still has not left us. If you didn't get your up-to-date booster, please go get it. Nice. Now on to the State of the Union address. This past week, the president delivered one of his best State of the Union address to the joint Congress since his tenure in the White House. I mean, all the other speeches were great, but this address here was impactful because it highlighted all the things that the administration has done, that they plan to do, and have called to action, and called Congress to action, and even held the Supreme Court feet to the fire and basically direct a message to them. But I found it interesting that even Republicans, MAGA Republicans that have, not the ones in Congress, because we're going to get to the ones in Congress, but these ones on TV like Fox News praising his speech. I mean, it was crazy. But they need to remember, like, their leader couldn't even deliver a State of the Union address that planned to move this country forward. If anything, it was just a rant when he delivered his address versus the president. So, yeah. Now on to the MAGA Republicans. While during the speech, you had some of them yelling about the Afghanistan thing, and even yelling about the immigration thing and the economics thing. But I found it very, very interesting that a particular congresswoman from Georgia decided to show up in the most tackiest campaign gear for her dear leader and was yelling again, acting out of turn. I mean, she showed up in a dirty white coat last year and a tacky ass outfit this year. Wore a hat, disrespected the halls of Congress, and people still voting for that ass again? We still taking this woman seriously? I hope that district really vote for somebody that's going to deliver for them, because this woman is not delivering for her constituents. She's ineffective. Only thing is effective is her mouth, and even that shit is getting played out. That bleached blonde hair, that bad skin, and just the way she articulates her words annoys the hell out of me. And it makes me mad that she's in Congress and she's almost 50 not being effective. But that's what that district want. But I'm not going to disrespect anybody, but I hope the voters realize that woman is not delivering for them. I'm just saying. More of the chaos from that address. Katie Elizabeth Britt. Yeah, Katie. The newest senator, junior senator from Alabama, serving with Thomas Tupperville. The rising star of the Republican Party. The youngest Republican woman ever elected to the Senate, even though she's 42. It's somewhat young, but not as young, right? Yeah. Delivered the Republican response, her rebuttal to the president's State of the Union address. Let's just say that it was completely different than previous responses. And you thought that Bobby Jindal's rebuttal, Marco Rubio's rebuttal, Joni Ernst's rebuttal, even Sarah Huckabee's rebuttal, or Kim Reynolds' rebuttal was terrible. This woman got them beat. I mean, she went from sounding all wholesome in that kitchen, which that kitchen, I don't even know if it was her house, but that's neither here or there, to screaming in a way and talking to the American people as if she had a bipolar situation going on. And this is not disrespecting anybody with being bipolar, but it was just very weird. That whole response from I sound nice and wholesome to weird really strike me. But this is what the GOP, wanted. They wanted someone that sounded good on paper, but also was a mom. And she shouted from her kitchen because she wanted to relate to kitchen table issues. That was not relatable. That was just some performative nonsense, which that's more of a Razzie Award than an Emmy Award. So, Katie Elizabeth Britt, thank you for introducing yourself nationally to the American people in the most interesting way. Now we're going to remember you for sounding like a Karen, and you need to call the manager. So, Katie, thank you for introducing yourself to the American people as now the new Karen serving in the United States Senate. I hope it was worth messing up your reputation going forward. I don't know if she's going to salvage that shit. I don't know. But moving right along. Moving right along. In terms of the 2024 elections. So we had two people drop out this week. Nimrata Nikki Haley and Dean Phillips. Are we surprised about these exits? No, I assume it was going to happen. And I know Super Tuesday, I know both Nimrata and Dean was going to get their behinds kicked because polls favored that bum on the GOP side that he was going to take most of the states. And of course, the president was going to have a sweeping Super Tuesday, despite the uncommitted votes in Minnesota. He was going to sweep Minnesota. So that is that. But everybody is like questioning about, Nimrata's supporters and where they're going to go, who they're going to vote for. Let me just be real. Some of those independents are questionable. But we know her very conservative Republican supporters, they're going to go to Trump. But like I said, her independent supporters, they're a little tricky because they could sway a certain way. They could either, vote for the president, which I don't expect many, or they just can vote down ballot and don't fill out the top. Like, I'm so sick of us in this country try to cater to independents, and there's no disrespect to independents. If you're offended by this, maybe you don't need to watch this video. If it's not about you, then you don't need to worry. But to the independents that supported Nimrata, or like the disaffected or disenfranchised Republicans that supported Nimrata, you should have known, if you're that smart, that Nimrata was not going to beat this man, despite the fact that he is a whole ass criminal and has been impeached twice. His base, they're loyal. Like, he changed the game. It was Reagan, now him. The Bushes didn't really change the game. It was Reagan and that bum. And Reagan was MAGA before that bum really turned it into MAGA. So Nimrata was playing, in the middle, try to, get the independence, but still trying to play to the MAGAs. So I want people to stop saying that we need them. We don't need them. I don't want them. I don't want to cater to a whole bunch of white women in the party. I'm sorry. Like, they're still going to vote for their whiteness. Like my mom said, This election is going to be about race. These next couple elections, even them down ballot, it's going to be about race. Because America's still racist. So I just want everybody to stop playing to that demographic. And speaking of that demographic, white women are still going to vote with their privilege. They're going to vote with like their husbands. And even ones that's educated, some of them are still going to vote for Republicans or not fill the top part out because they're not satisfied with the candidates. Black people, Hispanic people, Asian people, we can't do that shit. Brown people, indigenous, we don't have the ability to do that shit. Because every law is intersectional and it's like a trickle down effect, which is sad, but it's the truth. When it comes to, like, say, for example, reproductive rights, white women get the better care than black women, Hispanic women, Asian women, indigenous women, and brown women. It's the truth. The truth is the truth. And it is what it is. People think it's racist, but it's the truth. I mean, I know people that had, tubal pregnancies and ectopic pregnancies and also like issues with, childbirth, but they don't get the same, care like black women don't get the same care as white women. It's the truth. 70 years. Because white women have voted for the GOP was not clicking. Exactly. Exactly, Queen. Exactly. So, this message is for all political pundits, people in the political verses, and this is also addressing, white women. If you're white women that vote Democratic, this don't apply to you. And if you're offended by it, I don't know what to tell you. I want white women to stop voting for a party that is willing to strip your rights away to choose. To love who you want to love. To read books you want to read. To vote the way you want to vote. Stop supporting this particular party, which is the Republican Party, because that's their agenda for the next probably decade and more. They play the long game. And if you are a true ally, because some of y'all position yourselves as allies and position yourselves as fighting, for equality and voter rights and everything, you would vote the way black women, Hispanic women, Asian women, indigenous women, and brown people vote. Majority of the time. Instead, you keep voting for these knuckleheads because you think about your pocketbooks and groceries is high. And if you feel that way, then you're not an ally. So please, for the love of God, I'm telling you this because I actually want a democracy than an authoritative government. Vote for the blue party because you will actually have a democracy. You will actually have your right to choose. So please stop voting for the GOP. And this is just all to everybody. So presidents don't make all the decisions. They're almost like a figurehead, right? They do what they're told, or some of them have policy, they have sway, and yada, yada, yada. This is the importance. I think I need to give another civics lesson, so it's going to be a short one, right? So, when we all were in elementary school or even junior high school, we learned about the 3 branches of government. We learned about the capital of the state that you lived in. I knew about the capital of the state when I was like in 4th grade, right? I know that, for example, I live in New York, born and bred in New York, that Albany is the capital of New York State, right? And I know the nation capital is DC. I knew that the White House was in DC. I knew at the time when I was in elementary school, there were 42 presidents. I used to know all of them front to back, from George Washington down to Bill Clinton when I was a child. So, I knew that stuff. I also knew that there were 3 branches of government. I knew there was the legislative branch, the executive branch, and the judicial branch. So let me just give you a brief summary of the branches, what they are, and how they check and balance each other. So the legislative branch makes and passes the laws, and 2 chambers of the legislative branch, which is the House and the Senate. Now we get on to the executive branch. That is where the president is, or in states, that's where the governor is, or in localities, that's where the mayor or the county executive is. They are the ones that, enforces the laws that are passed once they sign those laws and put their John Hancock on it. And if those laws are deemed unconstitutional, that's where the judicial branch, which is the courts, the highest court, the Supreme Court, the lower courts are the circuit courts or the district courts or the appellate courts, they come in and, deem whether this is a constitutional law or unconstitutional. So they all check and balance each other, because if the president does something wrong, the legislative branch will check them. They will put them on trial. Before putting them on trial, they will vote to either impeach them. We saw that in real time a couple years back before COVID-19, and even during COVID-19 after January 6th insurrection. So I'm telling you all of this because at the end of the day, the presidents don't make the decisions. However, some of them sway policies depending on their experience. For example, we got one of the most seasoned presidents. Whether you agree with his stance or not, there's certain stances I don't agree. I don't agree with the fact that he's too pro-Israel. Even though I do care about Israel, but I also care about Palestine. I just don't put those stuff on the timeline because, first of all, I'm not going to choose a side. That's hell no. It's not going down like that because this country wants you to choose a side. Besides all of that, there are presidents that do sway policies depending on their experience, and there are presidents that just are there, right? We have presidents that were just there, and there's some in history was just there. But the most important branches, which is all of them, the legislative branch makes and passes the laws. They're the ones that appropriate funds for different laws that are passed and that are enforced by the president. And the judicial branch is the one that upholds people to the law. So when people say my vote doesn't matter, it actually does, because if you don't vote, you'll get a candidate that gets elected and will try to destroy democracy. And that's what we had for 4 years before President Biden. So you need to think about, the impact of what that can have on the country that you live in. So that's my words, final thoughts and final words. So you guys have a good night, and I'll see you all next week. Deuces. I know how to.